Alright gang, how are we doing? Welcome back to the channel. Now today we have something incredibly interesting that has been revealed through a Pokemon Champions trailer. This happened at the end of the 2025 World Championships and it confirmed that Pokemon Champions is going to feature in the 2026 Worlds. So here we have the trailer guys, and there's one particular thing that I want to zone in on at the end as kind of a focus, and that is the Omni Ring. Before we do that, we're going to have a little look at this trailer. The Omni Ring is the main focus and it does have so many implications, not only for Champions, but potentially for the wider lore of Pokemon as well. We're going to get into that, but let's just play this trailer on mute, talk about it a little bit, because we actually see some new screenshots of Pokemon Champions as well. And it really does show that this new mobile style, this game, remember, it's cross-platform with Switch systems and also for smartphones, of course, as well. And that fact that it's on smartphones as well, it's great for the Pokemon company because they are able to access a bigger market, especially when not everybody has a Switch 2 yet. Not everybody is going to have a Switch 2 by the time Champions releases some point next year. I think it'll be fairly early on. I think it'll be in the first 2 quarters. But basically it being on mobile massively increases the outreach and the accessibility of this game. I think it also hinders the game in some regards as well. One of those ways is through the visuals, and my point being here that look at the visuals of the Pokemon models themselves. They are very flat, no textures, very sort of like block color, some gradients and some lighting going on obviously. But that is the style that Pokemon Champions is going to be. I recently found, and I really want to share this with you guys, I recently found the original Pokemon Battle Revolution reveal trailer. And here it is. And you guys, you have to understand that this came out in 2006, okay? This was just as the Nintendo Wii was coming out. I can't remember if it was before the Wii or maybe just as the Wii had come out in Japan, possibly. This was 19 years ago, around 19, 20 years ago. This is the best Pokemon has ever looked, and I fear will ever look. And the fact that we went from this 19, 20 years ago, which was clearly like a PC render, but it was meant to be teasing what the Wii era of Pokemon was supposed to look like. Oh my god, how far we have fallen. Just look at this, guys. I'm going to stop waffling. I need to drag this here to play it, but have a look at this. This is what Pokemon was supposed to look like. You've got Leaf and Red there. Look at the depth of field. Look at the camera movements. Look at the animations of the Pokemon. And in a minute, look at the way these moves land. It's all in Japanese, so you'll obviously, I don't think there is even an English version of this, in fact. You've got a Groudon and a Pikachu. Look at the way the camera moves dynamically as the player is selecting the moves. And you can see there, the number, or I guess the percentage, it doesn't have the percentage symbol, but the number of the damage, like the percentage of the damage being done is on the screen. This is the only time it had ever happened until we got the reveal of Pokemon Champions 19 years later, guys. That is crazy. But Pokemon Champions in 2006, if you told me, hey, it's going to take 19 years, bro, 2 decades, but they are going to release a game called Pokemon Champions. It's going to be on smartphones. It's going to be on the latest Nintendo console, 3 console generations ahead of the Wii. And it's going to be this 3D battle arena Pokemon game where you can apply all these different battle mechanics. It's going to be crazy. Don't worry, bro. Trust me. Bearing in mind, at this time, Pokemon Diamond and Pearl were the latest Pokemon games. I'm not sure if they'd released. I think they'd probably just about released in Japan. Diamond and Pearl, Gen 4's engine, was the best Pokemon had looked up until this point, until we saw this video. I'm going to keep playing it so you guys can see just how beautiful this looks. It's annoying that it's a bit of a low quality render, but this is how we got it back in the day. This was like the early YouTube days, one of the first YouTube videos that I ever watched probably. And just look at the way it looks, the slight blur of the background, the neon cyberpunk aesthetic of the background, Groudon unleashing some sort of hyper beam here. Look what happens to Deoxys, by the way. Groudon wipes it out. It turns into these like blocks. There's surely some sort of lore implication there from the developer's notes that have never been truly realized. How incredible is that? The space virus breaking up into these like fundamental technological blocks. The struggle, the fainting animation, Pokemon Battle Revolution did end up looking something like this. But then look at this. This is what that ended up being. And don't get me wrong, this is clean, this is nice, this is great. I'm glad this game exists, but in terms of visuals, and I always have to get my little visual rant off about the modern Pokemon art style, this is not what we wanted when we saw that original render from, you know, the teaser era of the Nintendo Wii. Anyway, Mega Evolution is highlighted here, and you see a bunch of Megas that are going to be obviously available in Champions. I actually think this is going to be a National Dex situation, if not immediately, then eventually. I think every single existing Pokemon, all of its forms, are going to be available in this game, and I think this trailer kind of hints towards that. Obviously there's no confirmation yet, but I think it's kind of saying, look, there's loads of Pokemon, all the historical Megas are going to be there, and then you see this. In fact, I think we've missed it. Let me just rewind here. Sorry guys. In fact, it wasn't in the trailer. I thought there was like a close-up of it, but there actually wasn't. It's on the website. So here we go. Here's the official description. The Omni Ring, a battle essential. The protagonists of this title wear a device called an Omni Ring, an item necessary for Mega Evolution. It's similar to the Mega Rings in the Pokemon video game series. Other special features may be added to the Omni Ring in the future. So this is a device that currently, if we just zoom in on this, it looks like it has maybe 4 on there currently, or enough space for 4, like it's this circular thing. It looks like it's quite technologically coded, so it could kind of extend out or maybe replace certain symbols. What we can see is the Z symbol on there, so that confirms that Z moves are going to be a part of Pokemon Champions, and this is a theory even before Pokemon Champions was announced. I did a video a little while ago, probably over a year ago now, and it was predicting a game essentially that was going to be a Pokemon Stadium successor or remaster. That ended up being Pokemon Champions, and in that video I said that we need something where you can blend all of the battle gimmicks, the ones that currently exist and the future ones. Terrastalizing, Gigantamax and Dynamax, Z moves, Mega Evolution. This is that realization happening in Pokemon Champions. So this confirms that you will be able, I love the way that it kind of switches as well. You can imagine like twisting that dial to point at the one that you want. But this confirms that you can use one battle gimmick of your choosing in a battle. So if you want to pick Z moves for your kind of gimmick that you're using, it's like your power up essentially, you can go in with that, and somebody else can choose G-Max, or somebody else can choose Mega Evolution. Maybe even you can combine them. So I don't know, maybe there's going to be like a free-for-all mode or an open season mode of some description where you could use like multiple at once. I think it would be broken if you could use more than one gimmick, but maybe in the future there's room for that. Certainly at first I think you're going to have to pick. So if you want to go into a battle and you want your Mew to use Genesis Supernova, the Mew Z move, then that's the one that you pick. You then can't use Mega Evolution. Somebody else might against you, but you can't in your team in that fight. So that's going to create this whole dynamic of strategizing, and there's going to be a new meta, and certain things might end up being overpowered, and there's going to be such a range of possibilities introduced off the back of this, especially if the National Dex is introduced. Here's the thing I wanted to say about this visually as well. This thing looks very Pokemon Black and White coded. This could be an absolute coincidence, but the coloring and the design of this looks very much like Reshiram and Zekrom could have something to do with it. Now, I've got a video coming out very soon, I think it's next Friday's video, that kind of discusses a deeper lore about the original dragon, about Gen 5. I won't spoil too much, but I think that we could be getting very, very soon Gen 5 remakes combined with something else. You'll have to stay tuned and watch that video. The gold as well seems to be this kind of like royal, almost neutral color that kind of ties in with the aesthetic of the Black and White legendaries. I don't want to get too carried away. It could very much just be that it's a kind of neutral color. It's this ring that has this potential for future gimmicks to be added, which I'm sure when Gen 10 gets its own new gimmick, that will happen. And, you know, Pokemon Champions will get updates and stuff like that. But basically, this confirms what I've been suspecting even before Pokemon Champions was announced, and certainly since Pokemon Champions was announced, and it showed terrastalizing and mega evolving in the same video, in the same battle, actually, in the same battle scenario. That confirms that that's not just those two, it's all of the battle gimmicks, the ones from Gen 7, the ones from Gen 6, and, you know, all of the battle gimmicks that have been established, basically. So this is absolutely awesome. They waited until the end of Worlds to reveal this. I think it's quite typical that the end of Worlds gives us a little teaser into what's to come in the kind of competitive scene and the competitions, you know, in the future. And so this was a really nice way. I feel like we're kind of moving into a new era of Pokemon now. You can see, by the way, that the next Pokemon World Championships, I believe, is going to be in San Francisco. But yes, that ring, bro, that Omni Ring, it changes the game. Let me know all of your thoughts down below. What implications might this have, not only in Champions, but also in the lore of Pokemon? Is this going to be something that may be realized and seen and used by characters in the main series of Pokemon in Gen 10? Or do you think that Gen 10 will kind of just contain one battle gimmick per generation to kind of be the poster boy, almost like the personality of that generation? Gen 6 was very much characterized and still is by Mega Evolution, terrastalizing in Gen 9 and so on. So I wonder what this means for the future. But yeah, we're certainly moving into a new era where Pokemon competitively is going to be much more accessible, much more easy, much more dynamic, and there's no restrictions. It's open season. You can use any Pokemon strategy and battle gimmick that you want. So very, very cool, guys. Leave all your thoughts down below and I'll see you in the next video. Take care, guys. Love you, gang.